An ex-Hooters girl accused of, you know, murder tells judge she'd pay bond with her OnlyFans cash. Wow. So, a former Texas Hooters waitress facing murder charges was denied her request for a lower bond last week, despite telling the judge that she could cover the proposed amount with her earnings from OnlyFans. Ashley Esselborn, 21, of Wichita Falls, asked Judge Jeff McKnight Court to lower her bond from $100,000 to $50,000 on December 9th. KFDX slash KJTL reported. She claimed that she had $8,000 in a locked account from charging subscribers $12 per month on the adult content website and was working with the corporate office to get access to the funds. Judge McKnight denied Esselborn's request. Her bond was previously lowered from $1 million to $100,000 in July. Esselborn was arrested and charged with first-degree murder on May 24th in connection to the beating death of Zachary Wood, 23, 4 days earlier. According to an affidavit, Esselborn confessed to being present at the Brown Street home where her boyfriend, William Bell, Ronnie Lang, and Peyton Mackenzie Collier attacked Wood. She told police that the confrontation started when she and Collier accused Wood of stealing money and drugs from them. Crazy. In her own confession, Collier told investigators that Esselborn did not participate in the beating but cheered on the others. Collier remains in jail on $500,000 bond and Bell is out on $200,000 bond, Cause reported. That Ronnie Lang, who also faced an outstanding warrant for assault at the time of his arrest, pleaded guilty to murder and was sentenced to 50 years in prison in September. Like, here's the thing. One, you should probably never get, like, involved in, like, substances. And, like, the main reason is for, like, yourself, right? Like, be a little bit selfish and, like, care a little bit more about, like, your future and not toss away everything by going down the route of getting involved in drugs. Like, there are some people that like to do whatever, like smoke weed or whatever, and they live an okay life. But there's still going to be people that end up getting involved into some form of drug and then basically go into harder drugs. And, like, the point that I'm trying to make is that anytime you add something to your life that is going to create more variables for you to potentially worry about may not be the best idea, right? Because if you are not doing drugs, well, that kind of just completely gets rid of the situation of you potentially being in a situation where drugs are involved with people getting mad at you for potentially stealing drugs or getting involved in drugs in some form, one way or another. Like, you wouldn't even be in that situation. You wouldn't even be connected to these type of people, right? You would not be in this weird social circle because you wouldn't even be involved in substances at all, right? Like, people need to be very careful, one, what they put in their body, but two, who they end up choosing to spend their time with. Because guess what? You might be able to control yourself, you might be able to control what you do, but you can't really do the same for other people. So if you get into a really, like, if you go and, like, make friends with people that have some sort of shady past and you hang out with them, you're probably going to get involved into something shady because that's just how they are. And even if you're not really directly involved, you will be still part of that group, and you could still end up facing consequences if people in that group do something potentially heinous, right? So just keep that in mind. And that's also one of the problems that like a lot of people that live in not so great places end up basically getting involved into crime, even though maybe at first they didn't commit crimes. But maybe their best friend did, maybe their older brother did, maybe their older sister was, maybe their dad was, etc. And that basically just gets them into this weird situation, right? So, for example, for this girl, if she wasn't involved in drugs, right, she would probably also not really be involved with OnlyFans. She also would not be involved with a guy who already had a warrant out for his arrest. Like, she wouldn't potentially be in that situation at all. But because of, doing drugs, being like around that type of situation, having certain types of friends, hanging out with different types of people, dating bad individuals, you're going to be put into a situation where, one, you're definitely not going to act right, and two, you're going to get punished pretty severely, right? Like, people need to be really, really careful with the people that they hang out with. Like, the saying is you're basically a combination of the five people that you hang out the most with, right? So if all of your friends or the people that you end up hanging out with are people with a past or do drugs or do things that are of a criminal nature, you are probably going to get involved in something like that eventually, right? You might get involved in the drug side, you might get involved in the criminal side, you might get involved in violence. Like, you don't know, right? Whereas if the five friends or the five people that you hang out the most with are all business owners, you're probably going to become a business owner because you're probably feeling left out if you aren't. Same thing with like if you are hanging out with five people who are all like professional athletes of some sort, you're probably going to get involved in some sort of athletic activity so you can spend more time with them, right? Be more involved with them. Maybe like go run or go hiking or biking with them, etc. It's just something to really think about. Like, people really don't like factor in who they hang out with as to the effects of that on their future. And basically, this Hooters waitress is pretty much screwed for the rest of her life because of mainly how she acted in the situation. One, that she didn't call the cops, but two, she got involved in things that she should never have even been involved with at all.